Good morning. So last night I got a chance to fix the intake manifolds choke stove and got that going, and as I promised in the intro, we were going to tackle getting the rest of the powertrain out of the car today and clean it up some. It'll also enable us to put the powertrain back in from the bottom without at least dropping the transmission. There's no real way to put the motor back in from below without putting at least the transmission in with it. And of course, being a torque tube car, it pretty much means the differential needs to be that way as well. And we're still going to change the shocks and a few other things, so we're only a couple fasteners from having all the rest of the powertrain out anyway. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We've got our friend Jay here to help, and we got a big pile of wood that we went and scrounged up because we're going to try to set it down on wood so we can at least reach in and get the rest of the fasteners out from underneath the car without these, having to suck in and still not be able to reach in far enough to get to the bolts. So we got our blocks of wood all lined up. We spent some time this morning cleaning the shop. You'd think by all the dirt we got off the floor we never sweep the place, and we sweep it all the time in spite of what it might look like. So without further ado, we're going to get busy and drop the rest of the powertrain out of the car because, with a few months to departure, we just don't have things disassembled enough yet. So let's get going. I took the cord from right and shortened it. Yep. The guy who invented these electric impacts should be worshipped like a god.
So would you want me to take off the shock?
Yeah. Just and take it all the way. You have to take it off and then put the nut back on a couple of threads just for. There you go.
Careful, that one's hot.
Grab a couple of flat wrenches, Jay. Looks like probably 9/16. Leave the bolt in that. Take the nut off.
Take the trunk mat out while we're here so we can clean it as well.
Maybe. As well. I'm going to run up to the house. No, you guys handle that. I'm going to run up to the house.
Move at least so I can hand it.
Okay.
I want to buy a...
Fragile. Be careful with it.
Yeah, real careful.
You can buy a new one too.
Can you?
Yeah. Oh, what do we have here? We have a little toolkit. Yeah, this one's shot. We're buying a new one. I'm gonna try to save it much.
Dang, look at that.
Let's go. It's really not that bad. That's not even that bad either. It just got a little bit barnacle on it. Overall, a little bit of rubbing compound over this whole thing. It'll clean up nice. Yeah.
So you guys gonna take care of that before you put her back?
Probably. We'll probably just go ahead and we'll take some rubbing compound. Or not. We'll might even just take the spare tire out. Because there's a plug down the bottom of that spare tire well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if this one has its plug still in it. Most of the time they're gone.
Oh, there's a My Classic tire. Goodyear.
That is the original spare.
Wow. Goodyear what?
Something.
Alright. For those of you who do not know these that well, this is perfectly fine to do. free washer. So back here, there's two covers. You need number 2 Phillips on the 65.6s to undo these. Now, that hurt. You can tap on the screen twice, it'll wake it up and you can check the aim. Yeah, that looks okay.
There you go.
But yeah, there's cover here. You just undo those, and the hardware to remove your shocks is right underneath it. This has dual acoustic in it. Not factory, but it does have it.
Huh.
There's a speaker back here.
Oh.
Ugh, those poor springs look like death warmed over. Nope, I'll stay right up here.
Okay.
Got some cancer.
Oh yeah.
Hasn't eaten all the way through, but that's not good. That needs to get addressed. These are stuck down. These are the original shocks in the rear end.
Oh yeah. They've got
No, they're not the originals because they say Monroe on them. The fronts are the originals. These poor springs. Ugh. I've never seen springs that rusty before. Now normally they should just pop off like that, but at the other one.
5/8.
Believe so. I'm not gonna undo them, but
Oh, you got a wrench?
I said I'm not going to.
Oh.
We're not going to do that until we're ready to drop the whole thing. Because the
Oh,
moment I
yeah.
take those out,
Yeah.
this whole differential is just going to drop.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting. I'm not sure. That one might be original. This one, I'm not sure. Actually, I bet you this thing only has one new shock.
Really?
Yeah,
I know
I
one
think-
of them says Monroe.
Yep. They were made by Monroe originally. They're the correct Monroe blue.
Oh. Let's see what we need for a block.
This doesn't quite go low enough.
Give me a 4x4, Jay. It's too much. How about a couple of short pieces of 2x4? That was as short as I got, huh? Nope, that's too thick too.
I'd actually leave it like that
No,
because then that works.
Mr. J is almost perfect. Can I get a screwdriver for a nut removal?
I have one, Jay.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Now that's a problem.
Yeah.
UT. Thank you.
And just set her inboard. I'll endeavor to go crawl underneath here and get the bolt out of the panhard rod to get it pried off.
Yeah, just about. Okay, you're on.
Good. Now, what'd we forget?
I forgot that was there. That doesn't help.
What's that? Jam nut on top?
Go hold it, Dad.
I am.
You are?
Yeah. Hold on. Come on. Let me get on the other side.
Well, hurry up.
I'm hurrying. Go.
Go.
Go. Oh.
What have you?
Vibrating hands.
Oh,
That one gives quite a buzz. All the hardware out. Rubber grommets and all that
That's
junk.
sharp.
Yeah, those holes, they weren't big on deburring holes back in the 60s. I don't know what happened to that one. I noticed the bolt come out pretty rusty.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Someplace we're missing a fine thread 9/16. Well, that'll go in here for a wash, and then when we figure out where it goes, we'll be good to go.
Go. Keep going.
Cleared the cross member. Go ahead and see.
Yep.
We should be clear of the studs now.
You are.
All good.
All good.
Nothing down here snagging. Keep going.
Oh, you're watching those. Those aren't going to snag if they stay up.
No.
You should be good.
You're all clear. Go.
Can you fix the arm over here? I'll get it. Just stay there. The safety's not clear though. There we go.
Yeah.
Ow.
Oh,
Not bad.
it's not that greasy.
Ugh.
Oh, well, the cross member's horrid.
The cross member's horrible. Okay.
This still has the factory tape on it.
Yep, and this one they managed to get it to mush in, so it's not in very good shape. We might try to swap out on that one.
Those donuts.
Yeah. Well, see, they wind up putting them in. They're actually fit snug in that collar,
Okay.
and if you don't get them in and jiggle them a little bit, they'll snag, and then they roll these edges down and shove them in. They probably lubricated them some. Look at that, would you? There's a piece of our road, or somebody's road. And of course I hit the ladder. Okay, so that can
Did
lift
you
out.
paint? Did you mark these with chalk or something?
Yeah.
Oh, there's paint on this side.
Well, of course there is.
Yeah.
But I marked
They,
it. I
they
put-
striped these on one end to signify which type of springs they were. So this has
yeah,
paint here. So they're kind of a yellowy color for this one.
or we're white. Maybe.
Or white, yeah.
Yeah, I put one mark for left and two for right, and I made the mark towards the top, so we know which way is up. Not that it really matters, but
No.
I figured we'd put them back the way they came out. So it won't leak any oil because there's a seal back there that keeps that tube clean inside.
Here, hold on. Hold on, Dad. Hold on.
Hold on, why?
I was gonna say, if you move over to that side, I can come back where you are and just straddle the damn thing. We got it. We got it.
Set it down on the blocks of wood. Ugh.
Ooh man.
Ain't that
Yes.
pretty looking?
Ain't seen the light of day since Kennedy was alive.
That's true.
I hadn't thought of it, but that's when was Kennedy killed?
63.
Yeah.
63.
Thanksgiving.
And this was built in about May or early June of 62. What we wanted to do is get in here and check this joint or joints, thinking that it would be one of these. This is out of a 66. Still in a torque tube like this, but see, this is a double cardan U-joint.
Yeah.
Single U-joint is good for nominally up to about 3 degrees of angle deflection. Above 3 degrees, they start to shake, and the more angle you put to them, the lower RPM the driveline will whip. And there's a lot of technical stuff about it, but as one cross is speeding up, the other is slowing down, and the greater the angle, the more that starts to, the difference doesn't offset and cancel out to stay neutral, and so the driveline whips. So in 65.6 at least, actually 64 had a double as well like this, they used what's called a double cardan constant velocity joint. It's 2 U-joints. It has a centering ball, which is what makes it stay pretty much where you put it. And that's a test if they're bad, because if a joint's bad, the ball won't stay.
Flops around.
And it'll flop around, but you can generally always tell because you'll get some movement in it too. Double cardan like this is good for about 27 degrees of deflection.
Oh, wow.
So you get about 9 times the deflection with a double joint. And don't ask me to explain the dynamics of how it works, but I've actually lost one of these once in the green car that we actually ran to Kenosha last time. So one of the things I wanted to make sure is this one isn't ready to go, because I don't want to find out in the middle of Montana or somewhere that I lost one of these. You can change the U-joints with a socket, set of sockets and a bench vise. So you could always probably go to Hobo Freight and buy a vise and use your sockets you carrying with you and probably change one, but it won't be the most fun thing in the world to do.
Nope.
So I wanted to check this. This, surprisingly, has a single U-joint in it. So they must have, with the cross member not being under the rear of the transmission, they must have more angle to the engine trans to straighten the trans to driveline angle out to keep that. When I measured the 65, it was actually at about 5.5 degrees of deflection. Ooh. So when you put a single U-joint in it, above about 50 miles an hour, they start shaking real bad. So
Couldn't grab the fine tooth one.
this is my favorite ratchet. Now don't leave me alone. It's about to come loose. So you guys ready?
Yep, got it.
It's loose.
Well, it ain't quite. Has not come out of that bell housing the last couple of threads yet.
If it hadn't, it wouldn't be moving that much.
Okay,
Where are we going with
you
this?
guys need to pick up. Good enough, just leave it sitting there. That'll need to go outside on sawhorses and we'll degrease it out there.
Oh, what's that?
Now, the only thing left holding any of this together, because that's already undone, is the 2 nuts over here. You want to try to degrease that as an ensemble?
Good.
Or do we find the nut over here?
Dig it out.
Just degrease it as an ensemble, and then we'll undo it in the solvent tank.
Okay.
That's what I say. Probably shouldn't have thrown my gloves away.
I'm going to throw the bell housing.
Want me to help you carry it over?
Sure.
No, we gotta get the solvent tank ready first, so.
It's running. It's ready.
No, you don't want it running. Hole to go up through the cross member to get to that.
I need a 9/16 wrench.
Ranch?
Wrench.
Ranch? Yeah.
I hate that tire.
Oh, you need that too. Yeah, well, we're gonna polish that up a little bit. That's,
All right, you gonna run the ratchet? Just buy new mounts,
yeah, I should.
but you won't, knowing you.
Well, you just never know what I'm gonna do now, do you?
Here's your paint match then.
Yeah,
I'm on you.
that ain't enough. Or nor in good enough shape. Okay, I'm gonna throw this in the solvent tank. All right, so over here at the press, we've got the water pump housing all cleaned up and ready to assemble. I got it up here on the press. I took a brand new bearing and cut it down, cut the shaft length down to match the original, with the exception I left a little bit more length sticking forward. This one, they when they had the hub on here on the front, they didn't have any shafts protruding through, and that's what lines your fan up to center it. This one didn't have much, so I've left about a 1/4 inch more, which should leave us just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch maybe, sticking out of the front of the fan itself. So I don't want to get too much less. I looked at cutting this end down too, and I went, no, it's going to make me a little bit too small, a little bit too short. I've made a series of blocks to be able to press these in. This one has been counterbored here to make the push block stay off of the front seal on the bearing. It will only push on the outside, and it will only let you push it down flush to the housing. So we're gonna set that in there. I really need to put a little bit of lube on that, and that dropped in really easy. So I'm gonna have to kind of watch this one, make sure it stays in tight enough. I'm gonna get the oil that I forgot so I can assemble this, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm not gonna use anything real fancy. I'm just going to put a little bit of straight up penetrating oil on this. I don't want to get too much and have a mess made out of my sandblasted part over here, so I'm gonna do my darndest to keep my oily fingers off of it. Put a shim block in there so I don't have to pump this quite so far. There we go. Okay, that's down. the bearing in. Actually, I should have just left that in the push block and do the rest of it with that holding it up. So next thing I gotta do, I gotta grab a seal, just sitting right here. This is a nice seal. It's an all one piece affair. It's got a pair of ceramic faces in here, and these actually work really good. I need to get a little bit of sealant to put around the outside. I want a little bit of sealant in here so it doesn't leak in. If they leak, there is a weep hole down here that'll let the water out, but you want to seal those up so you don't have a coolant leak. So let me grab my sealant. I'll be right back. This is just straight up Permatex number 2. Just like I tend to use on everything else. Wipe a little film on there. Take a look at what we got. It looks good. Should actually put just a whisper of lube on that shaft as well. Wrong push block. We need this one. Before, I'll press this together. Ooh, wants to be a noisy one. Check something too. This should press until that bottoms out. Go. In spite of lubricating stuff, you can hear stuff creaking a little bit on the press, unfortunately. I apologize for that. This block was made purposefully with the depths in this bore and counter bore to put a little bit of compression on that seal, so it's in here, but it also has just a tiny bit of compression on it, which I need. I designed it to press about to 50%. So last thing we need to do on the back side here is to press the impeller on. Now, I've taken this over on the granite flat plate and sanded the back side slightly to get a smooth surface. I need to take this, like everything else, and put just a little bit of lube on this and on that shaft again too, because that seal pretty much went down and wiped everything off as it went down. I found if I put these on dry, it winds up ruining things. So put just a little bit of lube in there. Set that on. This doesn't have anything real exotic. It just gets pushed flat-faced on there. I may have to put a push block on because I need to press. You need about 20 thousandths of an inch between the hub, or between the impeller and the pump body. Let's see if I can shim this up a little bit so I don't have to pump quite so far. Need about 2, I think. There we go. Anybody that's got a manual press and knows this drill all too well, you can spend a lot of time pumping the handle on these things. There we go. See, it's going on nice. So the next thing I need to do, I need to get my feeler gauge ready. I need about 20 thousandths. So I'm going to grab my feeler gauge and I'll be right back. I think I'm going to go for about a 2022. I'll wipe your feeler gauges down, make sure they're clean. I got to put a push block on that to press because I bottomed out. No, I did not. It got tight. It's a nice part about using a manual press like this is you can really feel when things get tight. I'm going to put just a dribble more lube in there. I don't want that to run dry. I did a pump here not too long ago that I didn't lube it up. I pressed it together on the front hub and it damaged the hub and it walked off and sent the fan into my radiator. That's why I'm set a little bit thick, because when it moves quite a bit. One more bang and I'm going to be there. Nope. I might have bottomed out on the shaft on that one. Got real tight. Oh yeah. And that means I'm going to leave the gap I've got. Let me see how much gap I got. You want around 20 thousandths, but I'll take something. There's 20. 426. Yeah. 2022. 25, 27. Nah. I'm gonna put a block on that and try to pick up a little bit more. It's a little bit more than I want. I'll have to take these shims out of here because we're going to get most of it out of the block. Looking to see what I can push with. May just push with the opposite side of that one. I'll need about 3 of these underneath to get leveled up. Yep. Helps if you set the bleed screw. Got tight. There we got tight, and we're on 22 thou with a 20 thousandths on the thin side. 22 has got a little loose. I'll take that. I'm at about 23 or 24 thousandths. Doesn't have to be exactly 20 thou, but you want to be close. If you don't have a feeler gauge, hacksaw blade is just about the thickness you want. Not the tooth part, but the spine. Okay, the last phase of this, you have to set that shaft down so you can push through the shaft, and then we have to press this hub on the front. As I just mentioned a minute ago, I messed one of these up by not oiling it up, so I'm going to oil this thing up right away before I forget. Just put a little in and roll this around to spread it. Okay, and then this has to get pressed on a certain depth. My other push block that I have for pressing hubs is this one, and if I put that little stop plug in there, that's going to press it less than all the way on. That'll bottom out. That's going to press me the wrong depth. This is actually set up for doing clutch fans. I actually need to make one of these for doing standard fans like this one. I'm going to have to just manually watch my depth because I don't have one set up to do it exact. And then I'm going to put a little bit more oil in there. So I don't want to run dry. That looked like it tipped funny, and it did. Here where I can watch things a little bit better.
No.
Still crooked. I'll have to break that loose. Square that up. It's a little too far off and it'll make a mess of things. That's just about right. Okay. have to do a little bit of degreasing on this, because in everything I still managed to get oil on things. But there you have it. There is a completed and assembled water pump. And I got something that ain't quite happy because it doesn't spin worth a darn. It should spin nice and free. That got tight. And I don't know why. Something tells me I'm going to have to take that all back apart and do it all over again. Alright, so as you just saw, we put the water pump together. It is virtually impossible to turn. And I think I figured out why. I got out my crayons and sharpened them up and did a little ciphering. And what I've effectively done is the seal that sits down in here has been hyper compressed to the point where it is just binding everything up. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to have to take this all back apart, put another seal in here, and I've adjusted the block that pushes the seal in so that it won't compress it so much. It should only compress it to about 50% of its compressibility, or about 50 thousandths of an inch of compression out of the total 100 thousandths it'll move. Another thing I forgot to take into account is there's actually a relief in this dome down on the backside, and it also has to be clearanced to provide space for that seal to sit, or that will also hyper compress the seal in itself. So, you know, if I don't over compress it and I don't take this into account, I could hyper compress it anyway. So the next thing I need to do is take this completely back apart again and effectively start over. The only thing is I'll be able to reuse the bearing, and the hub should come off okay, and the impeller hopefully will survive. If it doesn't, that's gonna suck. I'll have to scare up another pump and rebuild that one. We've been working on a impeller for this. The original ones were made out of plastic. It looks like ABS, and we actually set up to 3D print them, and in the process we were able to successfully 3D print one and put it together. And I ran the car to work and back, and in 50 miles it badly deformed. So what we're going to have to do is regroup, probably around using a like carbon infused nylon or something, and see if we can get the strength and we can get the heat resistance. Forgot to take into account ABS turns soft and mushy just about normal water temperature in an automobile. So anyway, don't mean to bore everybody with that. So I'm gonna get set up and take this apart. A little lube on this. Cross your fingers. This pushes the impeller, the seal, and the bearing all out at the same time. Release it and get that impeller out of there. We're gonna see what we did. Oh yeah, we shattered the seal. Oh look, there is no counter bore. Even if it had pressed into the right depth, we'd have broke that. We need to actually turn this and have it a set depth down to make relief for that dome. We don't have it. So, even if we had only pressed the seal to the proper depth, We just still ruined it. I forgot to check that. And we've ruined the seal, so we'll finish pushing the shaft out, knock the seal out. We'll have to put the shaft back in and a new seal. We broke it in places all the way around the perimeter. So that seal is done. The only thing I can do there is essentially take a drift punch and knock it out. Okay, I'm going to hit that with a little bit of brake cleaner because I don't want to fling oil everywhere. I got to clean that shaft up a little bit. We'll put this in the metal lathe. We're going to cut a counter bore back here to accept that seal. Okay, so when this is in here, the entirety of that dome has to set up inside here. So, we've got a certain offset there, a certain depth, which I need to measure. So I need to grab a straight edge to put across there. I need a little bit more working room too. You only get about 80 projects going at the same time in here. And eventually have a disaster on your hands. Grab a ground piece of flat bar to put across here and measure that depth so I know how much deeper I have to cut. Needed a ½ inch. One 320, so we're about 320 thousandths. I need to go about 520. So we're going to be down awful close to the shaft before we get there. And then we need to know how much need to be. Oh, need to go down as well. how that's smoothed up nice. Seal sets in there. We still got almost 1/4 inch of thickness to that. We got some room for the thing to be a little different size next time without any issues. And that seal, even at full compress, just kind of sighting across it. There's room for it. Even if this went all the way down and touched, we can't compress that anymore. Back of my hand into that. And there you go. Nice little counter bore. The seal nicely sets in there. And when that compresses, you got room for the seal to set back inside. And room for water to get in there as well, which you need because that's what lubricates the seal, keeps it from burning up. The only thing we'll have to do, since this is going to press on and this is your start, when this comes back off, we have to chamfer this hole so that it's not sharp and square like it is right now. So, next thing we need to do, back over to the press. We've got to put it in the bearing puller, and we got to pull this hub off this old shaft that we used to be able to turn the impeller, and then we can chamfer that. With all of that, we're now ready to put this back together one more time. This time, you should have to work. Around the seal. Don't need a lot. Just another thin film, Permatex number 2, just to ensure that.
Well, good morning. It is the next day. Kind of went to a band concert last night at a local bar and grill, so kind of had a little bit of a late night last night, so if I'm a little slow and didn't get to bed till midnight roughly. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this cross member here, and I shouldn't say cross member, goop it. I don't normally wear gloves, but if I wear gloves, it's pretty nasty. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this. I already have the springs compressed, so we don't have to worry about these lower control arms so much, but otherwise, if you don't, you're going to have a bad time. So make sure your springs are either removed or compressed before you do this. And there are bushings in here, and I'll inspect those later. Until then, I probably need stuff. At least drop it down from this side. Come on, you. In case you're wondering why we're removing this, this is why. It is just all horribly nasty, and we're cleaning the other two, so.
All right, that about wraps up this week's edition of Rocket's Rambler Garage. We didn't do a lot of filming over this last couple days because it's just been a marathon of cleaning up parts and such. But I'm gonna put the handheld on this here momentarily, and I'll kind of walk you around and show you what we got done this weekend. Just like I said, a ton of cleaning. Special thanks to my friend Jay for coming up and helping spend a day scrubbing parts. Not exactly the most exciting thing in the world to do, but I'll show you some of the difference. You saw early when we dropped the transmission and differential out, and so there's a huge difference in the way things look. So let me just go ahead and show you what that looks like, and you can see for yourself. The first thing we have here is the transmission itself, and when it first come out of the car, you couldn't hardly even see the red on it. Now you can quite clearly see the factory red. We were able to determine they pretty much sprayed it with the transmission kind of sitting somewhat like this. There's very little paint on the bottom and a fairly good coat on top. So that was several hours of scrubbing and degreasing to get that all cleaned up. When we got done, we shifted over to the differential, and of course the differential doesn't look too awful great on top. It didn't get much grease and gunk to protect the top part. You can kind of see spots in here where there was quite a bit of grease that preserved things. Down here on the truss rod, same sort of story. You can see a little bit of the black paint that was on these truss rods originally. Up front, same sort of story. Grease and oil kind of preserved things. If I stood this up, which we can do here momentarily, you'll see it's a very similar story down here on the bottom. Well, we got a little bit of water in things yet too from rinsing things. You can see the bottom of the differential down there has quite a bit of the original kind of varnish winding on it. We actually found the nuts on the torque tube again. You can see the sort of, it's kind of dark underneath here, but you can see the bright shiny metal. There's some shiny metal down here on the bottom. We found a few factory markings. Still a few spots to clean up, of course. Over in the solvent tank, we've had this transmission cross member having solvent run over the outside or through it all day long, and you look down here in the bottom. When I turn it off, you can see all the grit and sand and stuff. It's mixed with oils, and it's all down inside. This is 2 layers, kind of forms a square tube, a rectangular tube, if you will, and it's just full of junk. You can see back there all the dirt we've gotten out of things. Just a mess inside. We just keep the solvent flowing. It dissolves the oils, breaks the oils down, and then the silts and the dust and the grit and stuff flows away. This car must have been driven quite extensively on some dirt or gravel roads, because you usually don't see this much grit. You usually see some, but not a lot. Spent some time, got the shift rods cleaned up. They're sitting here ready to go. A lot of our transmission parts are sitting here on the table, all cleaned up. Got bolts that mount the transmission to the bell housing, torque tube. Got the shift fork cleaned up and checked out. There's a little bit of damage down in the bottom there. We're gonna have to clean up, make that good. And we got up here in the engine compartment where the cross member was. Got the last of things cleaned up in here on both sides. Got the clutch mechanism cleaned up. Got some of the shift mechanism cleaned up. That was pretty extensively gritty grease up in there, so it'll shift a whole lot better with some fresh clean grease in there. And of course we got a chance this morning to pull the carpet out and show you the carpet. So anyway, that's where we're at. We have over in the blue some of the things that we hope to do today, and we got, as you can see, probably 2/3 of what we wanted to get done for today done. And we've got a few things yet to keep working on. So anyway, that wraps it up for this edition. As always, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. And as always, thanks for watching.